Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1974's Immoral Tales by Walerian Borocek. I'm just going to call him Boro like they used to say for his last name in short. 1974's Immoral Tales, and this is a film that this is put out by Arrow on Blu-ray. But it's pretty easily accessible now to purchase in North America and beyond. But Arrow Video has this out on Blu-ray here. There are two versions on here. There's really the main theatrical version, which does not include a short that soon became the film The Beast. And then there's kind of the original version, or an original Vision version that went to a festival that includes that short. So respectively, it's with the Beast short, it's about 125 minutes, and without it, it's 103 minutes. This is 1974's Immoral Tales. I have some notes above me here, so you'll see my eyes deviate at times, but this is essentially an anthology film. This is an anthology sex film entering the world of the sexually taboo and forbidden within the confines of cinema and life. Art house, erotic and adult cinema all being challenged without fear and without boundaries. The genre of this film is as boundary breaking as the stories themselves. The stories within this anthology film, as we know, as I've said before, typical anthology films are horror and sexploitation or erotic. This falls in the latter category. But it's not that simple, folks. So let's get into this film. Now, we're going to start off with the music here. The music in this film, we have period piece music that is throughout, and in some cases is the only thing being looped, as there is minimal dialogue in this film. None, but there is minimal dialogue. And I believe in one of the stories involving Elizabeth Bathory, there's hardly any dialogue for the most part. Now, this period music it's elegant, but it clashes with the subject matter and makes for a disturbingly interesting clash. Okay? It's not period type music that you would normally hear for the shenanigans that these stories are. And I say that in a light way, but these stories are artistically sexually challenging, and to have that type of music. The sound design is sometimes just the sound of nature or animals, as in the case of the first story, the sound of the ocean, the sound of the water, the sounds of the tides, a boat passing. The opening piece of music in the opening credit title sequence is very powerful to me. It almost gave me chills as this experience was being introduced to me, as this movie was being introduced to me. It really gave me chills. There was something extremely powerful about the opening piece of music to me. Atmospheric, powerful, emotional freedom. There's also the singing. There's also people singing in this film as well. And predominantly, I think of the first story, and the girl riding on a bicycle and singing a song while they're riding to the tides of the first story. You know, this is a elegant film, art house, beautiful, magnificent, and at the same time, what many would consider depraved, vulgar, and perverse into the adult erotic genres. So what an interesting world that music exists in for these stories. The style of this film, well, we have lush, smooth, photographic, as I said, art house, yet within short bursts of disorienting editing that it uses various scenes and various movements in a pattern in a way that causes pleasant confusion and bewilderment to the brain. I almost feel like that might be, from what I've seen of Walerian so far, that seems to be something stylistic with him, something common with him, that there is these short bursts of disorienting editing that causes some sort of tension inside of your brain, and yet is beautiful at the same time. And he does it in a pattern that makes sense but that confuses your brain, or makes sense artistically, not logically, or there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm to the editing, and it's unlike any editing I've really quite seen before. I got to be honest with you, as I've been seeing these films. Some realistically amusing point of view shots as well. And if you know this an erotic art house film, you're going to say, "Well, I wonder what you mean by amusing." Well, there are some very amusing point of view shots in here. That's the other thing about this film, is that you're almost wondering, is there black humor in here? Is there humor in here? Is there intentional humor in this film, as we're breaking sexual taboos, as we're breaking the boundaries of what can be seen in a film, and what people can enjoy as entertainment, or as artistic fulfillment, and so very as cinema in general. It's classic, it's elegant, as I said before, it's beautiful. Animals, water, the natural world, close-ups getting at some undefined essence of eroticism. I mean, we do have close-ups here, very close camera at certain angles, sometimes moving, sometimes staying still, while the person moves, and moves in just the right ways across the camera lens. The meeting of the thigh with the stomach. And I'm thinking of the second story, the meeting of the girl's thigh with her stomach. By the way, the girl in the second story, I believe a British actress, is in the film Spookies, that I reviewed also on this YouTube page. So something to look out for there. And so this is there's a level of voyeurism also in the film, but not along the same lines as Jess Franco per se. Purposefully sexual and sensual. This film is purposely and shamelessly sexual and sensual. Distant shots of walking in this film, pictures, discarded clothes, mirrors, eyes. I mean, it's all architecture, the trees, the ocean, the tides of the ocean, in particular the first story. But when it's not, when the camera's not out in the wild of nature, of the natural world, it's claustrophobic indoors, within the confines of one bedroom, without physical escape, or a house of showers and hallways, and a main red and black room, or a church. So it's very interesting that there seemed to be the most freedom out in the natural, in nature, amongst the grass, the trees, the ocean. But when inside, things become very claustrophobic in Immoral Tales. Now, in terms of violence, there is violence within some of the stories of this film. Not gore, but a violent tone, and that violence is mostly tonal, and mostly it's the intent or the result of sexuality or lack of sexual consent, rape. There is a sword aftermath, and blood. I don't give away things, but yes, there is some sword play and some blood in Immoral Tales, and there is a bath of supposedly real pig blood, and in this film. So this is there's a lot going on here. On the back of this it says cosmic fellatio, transcendental masturbation, blood-drenched lesbianism, and papal incest. We even have a burning of someone, I believe, in this film as well, now that I think about it. So there is violent tone in here involved in the sexuality. In terms of the sexuality of Immoral Tales, we have, and I list, bestiality, rape, incest, masturbation, showering, fellatio, full nudity for both genders. The way he films is very, very erotic in this film, and I think that Valerian really knows how to film erotically in general. It is He just has the definition of eroticism when I watch one of his films. That's all I can say. Blood boiling eroticism. Freedom eroticism. Implied, but it doesn't matter. The sex is implied, but it doesn't really matter because it's still in the essence of erotica and implied, except for the beast segment. If you watch it with the beast segment, that's not implied. I mean, it's not necessarily real, but it's triple X in your face. The sexuality of a bicycle, of riding on a bicycle, butts, thigh to stomach, as I mentioned before, humping, faces, especially in the first story, the sexuality of a girl's face, very close shots of just skin, washing. In the Bathory segment, in the Bathory story, just washing of the body, laying down, lots of hair focused upon, pubic hair focused upon, feet, close flicking of nipples, butt, really kind of the close-ups of the butt, but not just Franco-invasive, cucumbers, organ pipes, furniture, Stations of the Cross book, peacock feathers, lips, a tongue, honey dripping down the stomach. Is it honey? I think it is. The first story really shows a dose of eroticism that I'm talking about with this film. Her lips, her face, her eyes, clothing, furniture, equaling fetish sexuality, especially in the second story. Something going inside of a vagina, also in this film. So a little bit invasive. Really getting across the lines here. What genre does this fit into in the sexploitation world, in the erotic world? We have themes of religion, desire, power, innocence, freedom, the natural, humanity, and of course sexuality, which intertwines with the other things I just listed. Immoral Tales, 1974, Valerian's film is a trip divided into sections, into worlds of sexuality not talked about and sometimes weird and shocking. Anthologies seem to be either horror or erotic, as I've mentioned before. And this one even has some horror in it. You watch Immoral Tales and you're lured and pulled in, and your blood boils and moves, and you are caught in ecstasy and insanity. This is truly an erotic film, a film about sex and of sex, and a film even deeper than what you would think after I just said that. This is 1974's Immoral Tales. I watched it twice in 2 days, and then I believe I actually watched it I watched it twice in 2 days. I needed to see it again. As a matter of fact, it's been going on with the Valerian's films in general. They say that this is his first explicitly erotic feature. I know he did animation also early on, and then was doing other types of art house type films in some way, always hinting at sexuality, but this was the first explicit one. What would this be rated today? Definitely NC-17. With the B segment, I could see X in some regards. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Immoral Tales from 1974. Thank you so much. And please feel free to check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopydiarrhea. Thank you and good night.